We're debating this bill on a day when it's been announced that work stoppages are at their highest level in 5 years. And so the national government, the friend of business, is presiding over the highest rate of industrial action that we've seen in 5 years. No wonder the member's keen to get his bill. But I do have to say, Mr Speaker, that it's very good to see that the National Party and the member have finally come out and said they support workers' right to strike. You know, because I haven't been sure, and particularly since the 1990s when it was so curtailed, and even though the timing's a little bit unfortunate. And we're pleased to have a piece of industrial relations legislation that isn't viciously attacking workers' rights. Now, it doesn't viciously attack workers' rights, but, because everything else we've seen from this government does. For example, the 90-day fire bill, the Holidays Act review, the pitiful minimum wage increases, and that's all been about pandering to business and sacrificing the rights of Kiwi workers. So, Mr Speaker, while we're supporting this bill, we have to question whether there aren't more pressing issues to be considering. There's no demand or need that I'm aware of for this legislation. And Tohirunari has said in the paper that the idea came from his time as a union organiser in the 1980s. How long ago was that? I mean, things have changed quite a lot since then. Poor old clerical workers. What did they do to deserve that member as an experienced union organiser? That's right. I have to tell a member of the National Party that there are not legions of union officials going around the country pushing reluctant workers into strike action. As a union leader, over many years, I never had one complaint from one member about that. And so the member said he's had one person come to him. It does seem like it's a pretty small and minor issue. I think it's a very important... Well, it could have been two, that's right. And I think, also in a modern union movement, workers make many decisions as union members, not just about whether they're going to strike or take industrial action. They elect their workplace leaders. They decide on collective agreements, and which is usually the most important thing. The thing they're most interested in actually is what their pay rise is going to be. They vote on union rules, and there are things as union rules covered by the Employment Relations Act that unions are required to have, and they vote on their democratic governance structures. And workers aren't stupid. They can't be pushed into doing things that they don't want to do. They can't be pushed into doing things they don't want to do. And anyone who thinks so should just catch up. It's so different to what it was in the 1980s. I think this, unfortunately, I have to say that to them. I have, and they're right behind me, Mr Henry, right behind me. You go and talk to them, they'll tell you that, and particularly the cleaners in this workplace, that member's never supported. Now, I want to raise some issues, though. There are many issues in this bill, and I think that perhaps the member hasn't thought them through. I mean, apart from the fact that it doesn't do anything, there are some issues, like the lack of balance that my colleagues have referred to. Why is there a duty on workers to have secret ballots for strikes, but none on employers, including a secret ballot of shareholders, when an employer is going to lock out? I mean, lockouts are vicious. They are shocking. They take away the economic livelihood of workers. They have absolutely enough. And there's a whole lot of questions about this. As I said, I don't think the members thought through how this is going to work. How is the secret ballot going to be conducted? Is it going to require a new army of labour inspectors to supervise these ballots? How is government going to pay for this out of their ever-decreasing public services?
No, 1 minute. The member has 1 minute.
Keep going. That's right. Thank you, Mr Speaker. And what will be the rules around the conducting of a ballot? How will the votes be counted? Is there going to be restrictions on the question that can be asked? How are you going to make sure that employers don't interfere in the ballot? How are you going to stop that happening? What's going to happen if an employer says, well, the workers can't get together to have a secret ballot? What if they can't meet? Are they going to be forced to use their paid stop work meetings? And most of all, what happens to workers in health and safety situations who currently have the right to go on strike if they're facing a hazard? They can walk off the job. Will they have to stop and say, oh, well, we'll just take a secret ballot and, we won't worry about the hazard? Mr Speaker, there are many questions. I look forward to addressing them in the Select Committee.
That's right.